they're going to be taking longer. They're going to be making fewer investments. They're going to be sitting back to wait and see what happens. And so do not expect, like what was happening 6 to 12 months ago, that the first time you meet with one of these new investors, they're going to be ready to go and press the button on an investment. It's going to absolutely take time. And we're probably in this sort of moment right here. We may well have seen a drop in performance, seen a drop in KPIs, seen a drop in valuation because of matters that are totally understandably outside of our control. And so what's important here is that we're building this line, right? This relationship over time with investors so they really get to understand us. They understand how we work, how we operate, what the business is doing, what we're trying to achieve. And also, most importantly right now, they understand how we deal with adversity. How do we bring our team together rather than letting it fall apart? How do we take bold decisions rather than shying away from them? How do we play for the future rather than getting caught up in what's going on right now? And so this is an amazing time to reach out to investors, preparing them for a raise in the future and to start building a relationship with them. So whether we've got 12 months runway, whether we've got 18 months runway, whether we've got less than that, and this is something I keep coming back to, but map your investors, which I alluded to before, and then build relationships with them. This plan really simply suggests you do a monthly update to them or a tri-monthly update and just say, hey, this is what we're doing. You come back to them and say, this is what we've done. These are the KPIs. And by the way, we're demonstrating great traction. We've just built a little bit more. We've just improved X%. Or we've made some really tough decisions and hey, look, they've paid off. Building up this relationship with investors. And it doesn't necessarily at this stage have to be two-way, just to manage your expectations, give them regular updates. It's highly likely they're not going to come back to you straight away. That's not a surprise. Some investors see thousands of pitch decks every year, but if you can make sure you're just staying in front of them, you're updating them, when the moment comes to really engage with them, they're going to be better prepared. Send regular updates. And my other buzzword for this, my other framework for this is to send them something of interest about your company, but also send them some insight about your industry. This is really important because it then becomes a virtuous relationship for them. You're not just selfishly talking about yourself all the time and trying to say, hey, look at me, aren't I great? This is what I've done in my own little vacuum, which I think is the most important vacuum in the world and space in the world. You're sharing some insights about your industry so that you're making the conversation valuable for investors. Now, obviously, it's up to you how you guys do that. But we'll leave you to decide exactly what does this look like, what is of insight, etc. I don't want to give any generic rules on that. But this is a way to think about that. Provide something of interest about your company, but also insight about your industry. Now, I'd also appreciate that a huge number of you are not going to be sitting here on these really luxurious timelines. So if you can't work to an 18-month or a 12-month period, do not shy away from this. Just because it's not going to be perfect, it's not going to be the academic perfect framework here as to how you build great long-term relationships. Start early, start yesterday. Just find out who you're trying to be speaking to and start reaching out to them. If you want any support on reaching out to investors, please don't hesitate to get in touch. Me and my team have developed a number of ways where we can help startups to do that, and we'd love to speak to you about those. But the key thing here is you start getting items of insight and interest out to those investors. So you're building that mind share. And as we mentioned in the slide before, we're building lines and not dots.